The Shaking My Head podcast features interesting discussions about topics that have frustrated the hosts, Alex and David. Each episode is meant to question the quirks of society and bring to light subjects that intrigue or bother us. If you're here because something has you shaking your head, even if it's just life, you're in the right place.
I guess the question I want to bring up is, why do people feel like they're more entitled than other people to do certain things? If we're all human beings. I mean, yeah, okay, even if you had money, what makes you think you're entitled to like go cut in front of other people? Like, yeah, maybe you go pay someone off, but I'm a human being, you're a human being, so something as simple like thinking that you're entitled enough to go stand in front of the line in front of other people. What gives you that? Is it a privilege? It's not, well, depending on how it goes.
So are you talking about like people who will just cut in line in front of you feeling like they deserve something?
I don't know if it's deserve something. Like I don't know if people even think they deserve it or whatever. They just do it.
Right.
It's like, okay, the examples are simple. So like cutting in line in front of everyone else, thinking that you are special or you have money or some shit. And everyone who's been, say there's been people standing in line for 3 hours and you go cut in front of the line.
Right.
Or you're in a parking lot and then there's no other spots or everyone's like waiting in line for a spot. And you just cut in front of everyone else to get a spot, or you just park in handicap even though you don't have a handicap sign or you're not handicapped. That's a pretty simple case, right? Like, what gives you the entitlement to do so?
Right. I feel like, and another example I would even give is, I don't like it when people park even in front of like the grocery store, not even in the handicap. They park in like the fire lane.
Mm-hmm.
And I think their reasoning is because I just need something and it takes a short amount of time. Like, oh, I need one thing. And I'm driving and I'm sitting in the car and someone else, like let's say my spouse, can just go into the store real quick and get something in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
but
so
in
a parking spot, then why do you instead of fire lane?
Right, exactly. So it's I don't know if it's a feeling like they deserve something. I think it's more just in some of those situations like that, I think it's people think that they are not interfering with other people's lives, but they actually are.
Except you're being an inconsiderate asshole in that point and blocking traffic.
Right.
You're parking in a fucking fire lane. Or when a fire truck needs to come up, like there's a reason there's a fire lane and there's a reason why other people park. Like, don't be a lazy fuck. Don't be an entitled asshole. Whatever it is, just do it. Be considerate of other people is what really bothers me more than, I mean, there's assholes in the world. There's nothing you can really do about it. But someone has at least the ability to be considerate. And I feel like a lot of people are very self-centered and very selfish. And they just think like, whatever, like what you said, like whatever I do won't affect anyone else. And it's okay to do so. I think the worst part is like for them ignorance is bliss or something. But it's for the majority of other people, it's really fucking annoying. And I still don't. The biggest problem for me is like, why do you think why you can do this and no one else can?
So I think a couple things contribute to this. One is that a lot of these people think that they can cross the line because they're going to get away with it. Like, yeah, this person parks in the fire line, but no one's like calling the cops, and the cops are not going to come, A. And B, they've been systematically doing it, and our society kind of not rewards, but does not punish these people.
So I feel like in most cases, yes, unless you're just too extreme, or if someone cares enough to like come up and talk to you about it. Which I don't know if they're really bothered about it, or they're just trying to be like they're like a a rules follower or trying to be self-righteous. I don't know. Which is I think a whole different discussion as it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it is part of society where, because I think it used to be that people were a lot more considerate, and then people are just a lot more friendly. Like now, there's no accountability for anything. So you do something, sucks to be you. It's also like, another example that really bothers me, that where people are intentionally breaking the rules and causing safety concerns, is Uber and Lyft drivers, where they'll just park in the middle of the fucking road and not pull off to the side somewhere. And I don't know if their argument is like, oh, this is what I'm being told to park, and then I don't want to get like a low rating, or what. But you're breaking the rule. First of all, you're potentially causing a safety issue, especially if it's like a one lane in each direction. On top of that, I think that's just the form of entitlement right there. We're just like, yeah, because I'm a driver, I'm gonna park here.
Sure.
So I think that's one thing that really bothers me right now. It's just like, especially like, okay, if you're in an area where there's like absolutely nowhere to park, maybe. But there's a lot of times where I see drivers where you can actually just pull up like one more car up and just pull in. And it's like, oh yeah, well the walker, like whoever's riding might have to walk up a little bit, just be like, hey, sorry, like, I don't want to block the road. And it's like, the rider's gonna be an asshole about it, and they're like, oh, you didn't pick me up right at this exact spot, which I feel like doesn't matter in most cases, because a lot of people's like locations they pin are off anyways.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just entitlement in its own. It's just a really dumb form of entitlement.
I mean, even, you're talking about drivers, Uber drivers. Even I would say like cops sometimes, I don't think they're actually going to an emergency, but they will like drive really fast on the highway, or they'll run lights with their lights on and then like immediately turn the lights off.
Oh, for all the time. Yeah, I think that's not only entitlement, I feel like that's also, I was going to say,
abuse of power.
No?
Abuse of power?
It's not just an abuse of, it's being hypocritical, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's abuse of power, but you're also being a hypocrite. Because one time I got pulled over for speeding, which I don't think I was going anywhere as fast as the cop said I was. And I was a college student back then, and I called him and I was like, hey, is there any way you could like lower the charge or anything? Because I just came back from a trip to Disney, and like, college student, I don't have much money. And he's like, no, just don't ever speed. I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, so this fucker has never sped in his life before, which I'm going to 100% call. I'll put money on it. Because you're saying you've never sped, and I see cops speeding all the time. And like, I don't think there's any human being who has never, ever sped in their life.
Sure.
So it's like, this asshole is ticketing me for, I feel like, way higher than I was going. I mean, there's like semis passing me at a faster speed than I was going.
Yeah.
There's like a known speed trap. And then people say like, anyways, just add on to this this whole situation. You're like, oh, you're driving your faster car or whatever. And I was like, nope, I was in the black Toyota Camry sedan. So like a very family-oriented car. So it had nothing to do with the car. But my point is, they're hip, like, I could probably, I'm sure I'm sometimes a hypocrite, but I try not to be. But like, if you're telling me like hypocritical things or being entitled about it, it just really pisses me off. Like, I may try and make a conscious effort, and I'm not saying like every human being is like can't be hypocrite or whatever, but at least just like try and not be hypocritical or anything. But right. It's just kind of, long story short, is it kind of pissed me off when the cop told me, yeah, don't ever speed. I'm like, yeah, okay, you can never speed, so fuck you. Like, why are you trying ticketing me for some bullshit that you're telling me that you essentially like, yeah. Anyways, so I think that's another form of entitlement. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, I hate to say this, but I feel like it's not white girls that entitle themselves per se. I feel like society entitles them, and it gives them that sense of entitlement. Like white girls can be obnoxious as hell or do whatever they want and not get into any trouble because they're
Yeah, because
girl.
there's no repercussions, or like the penalties are not matching.
Yeah, you get white girl wasted and it's no big deal, except like a lot of other people are like, why are you so fucking noisy or why are you doing such stupid shit? But I feel like it's kind of encouraged by society and yeah, nothing's gonna do about anything about it because you're a white girl.
Exactly.
But it's kind of like it's kind of factual because like if you go look on like web pages or like YouTube videos or Instagram, whatever, see a white girl doing some shit, they'd be like, "Oh, this is great" or whatever. You see some other girl doing it, and they're like, "What the fuck is this crazy bitch doing?" So,
Yeah. No, I mean, there's definitely entitlement differences by race, by gender. And I do want to go back really quick to another example I just thought of for even at the grocery store. I hate how people just leave their grocery cart wherever. You know, some people, you know how there's places where you can put the carts after you're
you
done.
mean like on the in the parking lot after they're done shopping?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Like that's just another example I thought of is I don't know why people just feel like, oh, I can put it wherever the fuck I want.
It's because they think the grocery boy or whatever, grocery boy or girl is gonna pick it up. So
Exactly.
I try and put it back where like put it back to the return. If you're maybe in a hurry or something, I think it's fine if you like put up on a curb or something to make sure that it doesn't move. But if you're gonna put it like in between cars or something and leave it there and have the potential of it like actually like rolling somewhere,
Yeah.
it's really fucked up. But no, I agree with you. Like you should put it back wherever it's supposed to go because it takes an extra what 10 seconds.
Yeah. It takes you an extra 10 seconds and the grocery cart guy has to go around and it like makes his job a lot. Like you shouldn't be doing something that's making someone else's job much more difficult just to make it like 1% easier for yourself.
Well, so what about people who just like at the grocery store, they get something and then they don't want it and they just put it back on a random shelf instead of putting it back where they got it from? Same
That's
situation?
another issue. Yeah, like they're checking out and they're like, "Oh, I don't want this," and they just put it on like the little stands next to the checkout.
Yeah. What's also bad is this is back to cars, but when people so they like missed a turn or something, like instead of going like they want to go straight or something, but they're in the wrong lane or they change their mind. And what all these lazy entitled assholes do is they basically like just turn on their signal and they hold up the rest of the traffic behind them instead of like so for instance if someone is in the right lane right to turn right and they want to go straight instead they'll just sit like kind of in between the right turn lane and the straight lane but then they'll like still hold up traffic and just turn on the blinker and expect someone to let them in. That's apparently like the accepted way to do things but really you're supposed to just go in the lane, whichever lane you're in. Like, so if you're in the right turn lane, take a right turn, find somewhere, turn back around, and then turn right to go technically straight.
Yeah.
And then so this happened the other day, and there was like a lot of traffic, and I was trying to make it somewhere on time, and then so I wasn't letting this Jeep in, and then this white girl was like, seriously, and I was like, yeah, go around. And I was like, why are you getting mad at me because I didn't let you in? And I stayed in the right lane, in the correct lane, while you like felt entitled to just hold up traffic and expect me to let you in.
A
Like,
lot of people hold up traffic when they like you're supposed to like if an exit's coming up, they don't get ready to exit until the last minute.
yeah, you should be prepared at least a half mile ahead of time.
Yeah, but a lot of people are like, "Okay, I'm just going to cut everyone. I'm going to get to the very front and then just cut in because someone's bound to let me in." Which happens.
I don't mind if you do that if you can actually pull it off. If you can't pull it off, don't do it.
Right. If you can't pull it off, you're just holding up all the people.
Yeah, you're just slow. You're just trying to you potentially cause an accident by doing so. Because what you're probably gonna do is cut in, slam on your brakes, and everyone else behind is going to have to slam on their brakes, and that's just a dick move.
Yeah.
So, I really think this has been happening more and more lately. Just like I said, with the lack of accountability and how people just seem to get away more with things. I think it's just a mixture of a whole bunch of shit, but to me, a lot of this comes down to just entitlement in one way or another.
Yeah.
So, even when I was in Atlanta, back at the company I was working for, I mean, one problem kind of was we were kind of out of spots, but I mean, there were still spots for people to park in, but then some people were so lazy, they would just not park in the spot. They just park next to a spot.
Okay.
So like you're driving into the entrance,
Mm-hmm.
you want to leave enough room for like one car to go by in each direction. But then you've got some idiot, some entitled prick who decides to park right next to a parking spot. But it's really meant to be like a lane for traffic to go around the parking lot.
Oh, okay.
It's just because they're like, I mean, we still have spots technically. There's just like if you get here too late or everyone's already parked back in the lot, you have to go park like further towards the back. But it's like an extra 15, 20 feet at the
Right.
most. And it's like, oh, you can't walk an extra 15, 20 feet over, like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, parking, I just thought of one as well that why do people who think they have like nice cars, they either park too close to the right edge or too close to the left edge because they don't want another person to park next to them. I'm like, if you have a nice car, just park in the back, like how people like park in the back.
So you mean like double, like taking up two spots?
Basically, I mean, they may not physically take up two spots, but they'll basically ride the line, or they will take up two spots. Yeah, if they have a nice car, they'll just take up two spots, or what they'll do is they'll ride the line. So it's like there's no way you can fit a car in there.
Yeah, it's a dick move. Like if you're that worried about it, just don't drive it around.
Well, if you're that worried, then just park. Like people who have nice cars, they still park. They park in the back, right?
Yeah, parking, yeah. But I'm talking about like if you're so worried about your car, just
yeah, don't drive it out. But
yeah, but I mean, yeah, if you're gonna park it, I agree, park in the back. Because like I feel like when someone does that, I'm more like I don't ever do this, but I feel like more like this piece of shit right here. He's taking an extra spot. I feel like it just makes me want to actually key his car out. Even though I'm not like I'm going to.
I don't want to key. I'm not. Yeah, I know you're not going to, but I have the same feeling.
It's just like it just makes me think this guy's an entitled piece of shit, and like you're just being lazy, but you care about your car. So just go park. Yeah, like you said, park in the back where no one's really gonna touch it. No, everyone's gonna be too lazy to go back there and touch it.
Right.
But like when you're parking in like a prime spot and you're taking up two spots, like what a fucking prick. I just want to like makes you want to.
I see this so many times because I live near the mall.
You live in Buckhead, yeah.
The mall, yeah. There's so many dick people who do this, and I want to just park my car next to them and make it so that it's so hard for them to get in their car, but then I don't want to ruin my own car. So again, it's like one of those issues where no one's gonna call to have their car towed. They just get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably call and get it towed. If someone calls, they'll probably get towed.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I kind of want to do that sometimes just to like piss people off, but I feel like I just take a piece of shit car. Like I think it even pissed them off more if you took like a really ratty ass car and parked it so close to them they couldn't even get in the car.
Yeah.
And I've actually seen a video where like, it's not quite the same. I don't remember exactly. Okay, there was one where like this guy like took this other guy's spot, and the guy was like not happy about the other guy just like cutting him off, because obviously like the car was waiting to pull into the spot, and this asshole just pulled right in, and then the guy who got like annoyed, right, because he was like actually waiting for the spot. He had like a Jeep. He just towed the guy's car out of the spot and just put it randomly in front of other people.
Oh, he pulled the car out with his Jeep?
He pulled the car out.
Wow.
He pulled it out and parked in the spot. But I feel like that asshole that took his spot, that's a little over the top, but that's just like, dude, that's such a dick move. And then the guy had the ability to do, like, he could technically be charged maybe with vandalizing or something. I don't know, or
Yeah.
something. But it's just like I think a lot of people are just gonna look at it and think, yeah, you deserve that. It's just
Yeah.
like for me, it's kind of just like treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to kind of go by. Um, but anyways, maybe we're just bitching too much about this.
No, I think these are just things in society that you just see so often. You almost just ignore it because
Happens so often.
it just happens so often.
Yeah, I mean, and you can also get into other types of entitlement, like racial entitlement and gender entitlements, and uh, I just like one thing I like to say is like an Asian person, I feel like some of us aren't treated very well, and I don't think we, like as Asian Americans, really have much entitlement or I think even if we thought we were entitled, most people would just not think we wouldn't. But there's other races where they think like, oh yeah, you earned or deserve this kind of entitlement, which I don't necessarily agree with.
I would say most Asians are respectful just because it's like part of their culture. It's very selfless.
That's true.
And it's some of the values, but there are a lot of subsets of Asians that are entitled.
I think within the Asian community, yes.
Yeah.
But if it's Asian, like the Asian race versus like other races, then no.
Right.
So
yeah.
That makes sense. Which Asians do you think are the most entitled then?
Mainland.
Oh damn, okay. I feel like Chinese.
Oh yeah, there's like videos of. I was watching this on YouTube recently. I don't know. Oh, I do know why. Because I'm like nowadays, there's nothing to do. Sometimes I go down rabbit holes of YouTube, and for some reason, like boxing popped up in my feed, and eventually that rolled into Asians fighting in restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
That there's like a lot of YouTube videos about this, and I don't know if you know what World Star Hip Hop is. Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
Okay, basically there's like this group that used to it's a video aggregation company, which basically they used to aggregate videos based on like hits and views, and that's how like they started getting popular. Is they would always post up and coming trending videos.
Okay.
But it started becoming like a metaphor for society because a lot of the videos are about fighting, like fist fights in the street.
But these videos are real life occurrences.
These are real life people fighting in like the street.
Yeah.
And then there's like a subset of like Asians fighting in restaurants. And so basically like
but what
there's
kind
a lot
of
of times
like
where these
fighting
Chinese
over the bill or
huh?
Is it like physical fighting or like fighting over the bill?
Oh no, this is like physical, like I'm throwing restaurant dishes at you and then punching you in the face.
Oh shit! Okay.
It's crazy.
Just Asian thing though? I don't know, dude.
It's a all race thing, but there's like a subset for like Asians fighting in restaurants. And basically what happens is I don't know, like somebody says someone like talks funny to somebody or like disrespects somebody, and then they get all angry and then they like cuss. It's like they start cussing at each other. Then they like actually take the restaurant, like their bowls or something, and they start throwing it at other people, and they basically just destroy the restaurant.
Are you sure this isn't like Asian gangsters and shit? Like
no, there's not gangs. It's just people because there's
Asian Nazis.
There's a lot of cases too, like with when the Apple came out with iPhones and it was still like a very expensive thing. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of mainland people who their family status is high enough they can like do whatever the hell they want. Like they go into like
itself too.
Huh?
That's entitlement in itself too.
Exactly. It's they're entitled so much, and they have so much money because money talk, and also like your government connections. So they can go into a store, and people can't do shit because it's like, well, you can't do shit to me. So,
By the way, correction, Apple products are still expensive. It's not they used to be expensive. They still are, okay? Anyways, back to entitled Asians. Yeah, I would agree that Chinese people are. I think Koreans have this sense of entitlement as well, in some ways.
Koreans, like in the family, also like, it's very disrespectful to address people in the wrong way. And what I mean by that is, like, one of my close friends is Korean, and even if he addresses a guy, even if it's a stranger, in the wrong way, because they have a different way to address someone who's older and younger than you.
Yeah.
And it's really like disrespectful to address somebody in the wrong age appropriate
So
word.
Korean and Japanese culture, I think, are the two that are like that have respect as part of like as a very integral part of their language. But I think that's just more being respectful more than entitled. The entitled part I was talking about is where, I mean, the history between Korea and Japan hasn't been great.
They hate each other.
The history between like China, Japan, and other countries and Asian countries in general have not been that good either. So, in that respect, I mean, it's all in the past now. You can't hold on to what's happened in the past, but that happens here in America too. So I think because of people holding on to stuff in the past that maybe someone's ancestor did, or some like answers, like just people from a long, long time ago did, has no relevance to right now. Like, say your grandparents did something, right? That doesn't mean you're a bad person. So why are you having this entitlement over this other person for whatever happened 150, 200 years ago? Mm-hmm. Same thing happens here in America, and it's just, it really is all over the world, and the sense of entitlement doesn't help. It's counterproductive. What we need to do is like look towards the future and to make sure like all these things that happened in the past that creates all this entitlement, all this conflict, struggle, we should be doing is focusing on the future to make sure that doesn't happen again. Stop dwelling on the past and having that and holding that entitlement over yourself. Sure. I don't know if you have those sentiments as well, but that's what I think. Because we're getting a different topic here, but yeah, how a kid behaves and how a kid behaves in the future generations comes down to how they're brought up and the environment they're in. So by providing an environment where this doesn't happen, you lessen the stuff happening in the future. So don't teach your kids and be like, well, this and this happened back in the day. These type of people are pricks, or these people we should treat like shit because they're lesser than us or something. Shouldn't have that mindset. Yeah. And then be like, hey, here maybe we could just say like, this is the history of our culture, our ethnicity. You can talk about it, and then be like, hey, well, now we're we're all trying to be a unified world or something. I don't know. Who knows? But I think you get my point, though.
That's all for this week. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and tune in next week for more stories about what has got us shaking our heads.